What's up guys, Sean Nalawani, SeanNal.com, RealScienceAthletics.com, and in this video today I'm going to give you 12 quick tips you can apply if your strength gains in the gym have stagnated. Okay, gaining strength is a fundamental aspect of building muscle. On the training side of things, it's the most important baseline factor to pay attention to. And if your performance in the gym is plateaued, you can be pretty much certain that something in your program is off and that your muscle gains will have plateaued along with it as well. So let's just get into it. I'm just going to go over each point briefly in more of a rapid style fashion. I'm not going to go super in depth on each one, so you can treat this as more like a checklist just to give you some ideas of where you might be going wrong. So tip number one, first and foremost, is to be patient and maintain a realistic outlook on things. A lot of people might think they've hit a strength plateau when in reality they're actually still gaining strength at a perfectly reasonable pace. Remember that strength gains and muscle gains are both a very gradual process. They also slow down the longer you've been training, and even just performing one extra rep with the same weight on a given lift from week to week is still very good progress and will add up quite a bit when you start stacking it up over the long term. So don't expect your strength to go up by leaps and bounds every time you go into the gym. This is a marathon, it's a grind, and it's about the long-term accumulation of very small improvements. Tip number two is to be very detailed and diligent when it comes to tracking your workout performance. Because those strength increases happen so slowly and they're often measured in terms of individual reps, you need to maintain a written record of each session if you want to progress as efficiently as possible. Otherwise, it's very easy to just end up running in circles. So write down the exercises you did, the weight you used and the reps you performed, and then aim to gradually build on those numbers over time. Don't just try to keep it all in your head. Having objective workout logs is going to hold you accountable so that every time you go into the gym, you know exactly what you did last time and exactly what you need to do this time in order to improve. This is such an important point, and on its own will have a huge impact on how effectively you're able to progress over the long term. So be precise with your tracking. Tip number three, on the nutritional side, if your strength gains have stagnated, then one very simple thing you might need to do is to just bump your calories up slightly. Remember that as you're lifting more and more weight, gaining more and more muscle, your body needs additional calories, not only to maintain what you've built, but also to make further increases. So if your strength is plateaued, your body weight on the scale hasn't changed at all over the past week or two, sometimes a small increase of 100 to 150 calories per day is all you're gonna need in order to get things moving again. Tip number four is to make sure you're incorporating at least some lower rep work in your plan. Now you can build muscle effectively training in almost any rep range as long as you're applying progressive overload, but if you're primarily concentrating all of your training up in those higher rep ranges, so around 10 to 12%, go ahead and mix in some lower rep work as well if you can, so somewhere down toward the 5 to 7 range, because that range is not only going to be effective for stimulating hypertrophy, but you're going to make faster strength increases at those lower ranges as well. Tip number five is to increase your rest time in between sets. If your goal is to maximize muscle size and strength gains, then you don't want to be taking any individual set lightly, and you want to be putting forth the very best performance that you can on each one. And rushing into your next set before you've had a chance to fully recover from the previous one is going to be directly counterproductive to that. Smaller isolation lifts, you can usually get away with resting a bit shorter if you want, but 60 to 90 seconds on a bigger compound lift is usually not enough, and I'd recommend at least 2 minutes up to 3 or 4 minutes depending on the movement if you want to get the very best results. There's no exact time frame to abide by on every set, but just listen to your body and rest as long as you need to so that you feel physically and mentally ready to train at your full capacity on that upcoming set. Tip number six is to perform a proper pre-workout warm-up. This is not only going to help you prevent injuries, but it can also have a direct positive effect on your strength levels as well. And the specific component of the warm-up that's going to be most important in that regard are weight acclimation sets, which I recommend doing before each major compound exercise in your workout. So that means starting off with very lightweight for higher reps and gradually increasing to heavier weight for lower reps until you get up to your maximum working weight. This is going to fire up your nervous system, get you accustomed to the movement, help you establish a mind-muscle connection, and if you do this properly, then you should be a bit stronger on the exercise in comparison to just jumping straight into things. And a basic template you can use for this is to perform 50% of your working weight for about 7 to 8 reps, 75% for 3 reps, and then 100% for a single rep, and then perform your first working set after that. Tip number 7 is to make sure you aren't going overboard on cardio, and not just regular gym cardio, but any physically demanding exercises that you're performing outside of the gym in general. Remember that your time off from the gym is when your body is resting and recovering, and performing too much additional activity can produce more muscle damage that your body then has to recover from. It uses up more of your recovery resources, and that's going to make it more difficult to gain strength and build muscle optimally if you're doing too much. So 2 to 3 cardio sessions per week is where I'd cap things. if your goal is to gain strength as effectively as possible. Never do your cardio pre-workout because that will interfere with your weight training performance, and also take into account other physically demanding activities like sports or outdoor hobbies or things like that, because those technically can count as cardio sessions as well. Tip number 8, if you have your activity level outside of the gym under control and you're not overtraining in that area, another step you can try is to reduce your actual weight training volume. Okay, you don't need to be performing super high volume workouts in order to gain strength and build muscle effectively. And if you go too far overboard, then you can easily push your body beyond its ability to recover optimally, especially if your nutrition and other aspects of your program aren't quite on point. So if your strength gains have come to a halt and you can't seem to improve, you can try lessening the overall weight training workload to see if that helps. So that could mean going from 5 workouts per week down to 4, or 4 down to 3, or reducing the actual volume per session. And as a general guideline, I'd say 8 to 15 sets for large muscle groups per week in total, and 4 to 8 sets for small muscle groups is usually enough as long as you're training hard and going about 1 to 2 reps short of failure on the majority of your sets. Tip number 9 is to take a 1-week deload. So this would mean either continuing to train but reducing the weight on all of your lifts by 50%, or just taking an entire week off altogether. I'd recommend doing a deload once for every 6 to 12 weeks of consistent training, because it's a good way to give your central nervous system, your joints, and your muscles a chance to fully recover from all of the previous weeks of hard training that you've put in. And this can help to prevent sticking points and actually allow you to gain more strength over the long term. Tip number 10 is to dial in your sleep. Sleep is very important for optimizing your performance in the gym. Short-term sleep deprivation might not be a huge issue, but if it's something that's happening on a longer-term basis, it definitely can be a factor when it comes to strength plateaus, especially as you're getting into heavier and heavier weights. So make sure you're getting an amount of sleep each night that leaves you feeling sufficiently rested. The amount is going to vary from person to person, but usually somewhere around 7 to 8 hours, give or take, will be appropriate for most people. And also take active steps to improve the actual quality of your sleep as well. That's just as important. And I'll link a previous post that I did on that in the description box below to give you some ideas. Tip number 11 is to try rotating your exercises. So if you followed all of the previous tips and your strength is still stuck on a certain lift or a certain set of lifts, one thing you can do is to move on to a different exercise for a period of time to mix things up. So that could mean replacing, let's say, a pull-up with a pull-down, or a barbell press with a dumbbell press, or a dumbbell curl with a cable curl. Just a similar movement pattern, but using a different training tool or a different angle. And then work on progressing at that movement for as long as you can before coming back to the previous lift or switching to a different movement again. And then tip number 12, and this is more of just a bonus tip. It's not something to rely on for strength increases alone, but in addition to all of the previous tips, incorporating a basic pre-workout can also give you an extra edge to push through those strength barriers and spark some new growth. You don't need anything crazy or over the top in this area. Most commercial pre-workout blends out there are not well formulated and are mainly just based around hype and BS. I'd recommend checking out Pure Form, which is a straightforward, science-based blend of 4 research-backed ingredients to improve mental focus, strength, and endurance during your training sessions. You can click up at the top of the screen or use the link in the description. I've had awesome feedback on this product so far, and it's a combination I've personally been using for quite a while in my own training, so definitely check that out if you are interested. So those are the 12 tips. Thanks for watching, guys. Following this advice should solve the majority of strength plateaus out there. Hope you found this helpful. If you do want to learn all the details behind mapping out a complete training program from A to Z in order to fully maximize your size and strength gains, including step-by-step routines for beginners, intermediates, and more advanced lifters, then you can check out my body transformation blueprint by clicking up here or visiting btblueprint.com. And if you did enjoy the video, make sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe below if you haven't already in order to stay up to date on future videos. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.